Recently, Sigma released an updated 50mm f1.4 DG-DN art lens, which has seen some key improvements over the older model. However, for many Sony shooters, the Sony Zeiss 55mm f1.8 is a firm favourite within this focal length category and has been for a long time now. Question is though, is this new Sigma 50mm better than the Zeiss? Well, starting with build and features, these lenses really couldn't be any more different. They're like yin and yang. They're like chalk and cheese, like rich, successful, handsome alpha males and me. The new Sigma lens offers way more in terms of features and includes an MF to AF switch, a customizable AF lock button, and a declickable and lockable manual aperture ring. The Zeiss, on the other hand, offers absolutely no manual controls. It's essentially just a small barrel with glass inside. However, when it comes to portability, the Zeiss has this one in the bag, and it's just a fraction of the size and weight of the Sigma, meaning it's much easier to just throw this lens into your camera bag now and again without taking on too much additional weight. Now, the only traits these lenses share in common is that they're both, first of all, made from high quality metal and composite plastics, and they both feature a dust and splash proof construction, but that's about it. When switching over to manual focus, although both lenses utilize a focus by a wire system, they're both actually quite nice and responsive to use, and they have a very linear feel to them. The Zeiss in particular has a very short throw to it, which is sometimes preferred by photographers and videographers who like to make very precise focusing adjustments. Unfortunately though, both lenses suffer quite badly from focus breathing, which is definitely going to piss off a bunch of videographers. When it comes to handing out points for build quality, I think it's fair to say that both of these lenses are top tier and deserve a point apiece in this round. However, when it comes to dishing out points for handling, deciding which lens is the better lens is a pretty tough one to call because they clearly have their own pros and cons. Although the Sigma offers more in terms of manual controls, the Zeiss is by far the more practical option in terms of size and weight, which ultimately means that the lens you'd go for will completely depend on your own personal shooting style and preferences. So, in the spirit of keeping things fair in this test, I think it's only right to award both of these lenses a point, and then you could decide for yourself which of these lenses is best suited to your own needs. But how much do these lenses cost? Well, at the time of recording, the Sigma is priced at $849 or £849 here in the UK, whilst the older Zeiss lens is a touch cheaper, priced at around $685 or £559 depending on where you shop. Now, the fact that the Sigma lens is the most expensive of the two is kind of to be expected, because it obviously has a slightly wider maximum aperture of f1.4 compared to the Zeiss, which has a maximum aperture of f1.8. And we all know that typically in the world of lenses, the wider the maximum aperture is, the more you should expect to pay. So what does this all mean? Well, in terms of value for money, I am going to have to sway towards the Sigma, because for just $164 more, you do get a bunch more features and a wider maximum aperture. But what do you think? Let me know which lens you would give the point to in the comment section below. When it comes to autofocus, in good lighting conditions, both lenses are rapid to focus with absolutely no signs of hunting. In low light conditions though, the newer technology found within the Sigma lens means that it's noticeably quicker to find and lock onto targets than the Zeiss. When shooting wide open in high-speed continuous mode, almost all of the shots I took with these lenses were sharp and in focus, with maybe only one or two that were slightly misfocused. But overall, a very good performance. So the newer AF technology found in the Sigma lens makes it the slightly better performer in this round, and therefore it rightfully deserves a full point. However, the Zeiss is still by no means a poor performer, and with good lighting conditions, it still managed to keep up with the action. So for that reason, I think it still deserves at least half a point in this round. Switching over to video mode, and when shooting wide open with these lenses, they were both able to track George as he walked towards the camera at a regular pace with no issues at all. When repeating the test but at a faster pace, again, both of these lenses consistently kept focus without any issues. As for AF noise, my camera's built-in microphone did pick up a very subtle amount of purring from the Zeiss lens, whereas the new Sigma lens was practically silent. When shooting out in the real world though, both of these lenses were more than capable of capturing beautiful looking video footage. They were both able to focus quickly and accurately, and they both also worked well when using my A7 Mark IV's IAF and face detection features. Now, it goes without saying, the most obvious difference between these two lenses when shooting is the weight and size. The Zeiss just feels so small and light in comparison to the Sigma, you barely even notice it's attached to the camera, to be honest. However, that's not to say that the Sigma is far too heavy. It's actually a totally reasonable weight to work with. with. And I was able to shoot with it comfortably for the duration of the shoot, both handheld and whilst mounted to a gimbal. So when it comes to handing out points for video AF, I think both of these lenses are solid options for video work, and therefore they both deserve a point. In our Bokeh balls test, when shooting wide open with these lenses, the larger maximum aperture of f1.4 on the Sigma lens means that it generates slightly larger orbs than the Zeiss. Although both lenses produce nice round orbs at the center, they do quickly turn into a squashed cat's-eye shape as they near the edges of the frame. Plus there's also traces of onion ringing inside the Bokeh balls. As for general bokeh quality, both lenses produce a nice, soft, pleasing bokeh, though somewhat unsurprisingly, the Sigma creates a slightly thicker and softer defocused area thanks to its slightly wider maximum aperture. So that means that the Sigma just edges it in this round and wins the full point, though again I am going to have to give the Zeiss half a point as it really doesn't trail all that far behind. In our lens flare test, it turns out that the Zeiss does a much better job of protecting against ghosting and artifacting than Sigma, which in comparison has a very washed out result. Though I should mention that both lenses do come included with lens hoods in the box if you do want to help shade the front element in harsh lighting conditions. On our longitudinal chromatic aberration test, both lenses display similar levels of green fringing above the plane of focus and red fringing beneath it. Just as I found out when shooting video, the main difference when taking photos with these lenses is their weight and size. Other than that, it really is hard to find fault with these lenses. They are lovely to shoot with, and I really don't have much to complain about in terms of their performance. Sure, the newer 50mm from Sigma is a touch quicker to lock on focus, but in good lighting conditions, the Zeiss is plenty fast enough for most types of photography. Aside from the speed of the AF, they're also very reliable, and that meant that the vast majority of the photos I took with them were pin sharp even when shooting wide open at their respective maximum apertures. Now, although both lenses are more than capable of producing lovely images, as we can see, I will have to admit that they are far from perfect, and as we saw on the longitudinal chromatic aberration test chart, they both suffer from some noticeable fringing issues. Now, this problem becomes all the more apparent when shooting against a bright backlight, where you'll start to see some green and red fringing around those areas. I also noticed that on occasion the Zeiss would generate purple fringing too, though I can't say that this is something that I saw on the Sigma's results. But in either case, it's really not perfect, and if this type of thing really bothers you, then you are going to have to be prepared to spend some time removing it using the lens correction sliders in Lightroom and Photoshop. So I bet you're all wondering, is there much difference between 50mm and 55mm? And the short answer is no. I mean, of course, the 55mm is going to be slightly more cropped in than the 50mm, but in the grand scheme of things, I really didn't find it to be enough of a difference to cause any real issues when it came to composing shots. One other issue I found with the Sigma lens is that it does create images with a serious amount of pincushion distortion. Luckily though, this is something that can be very quickly and easily fixed, either by turning your in-camera lens correction options to automatically correct your JPEG photos or video footage, or if you shoot in RAW, you can fix it in just 1 or 2 clicks by using the lens correction settings once they've been updated for this lens in Lightroom and Photoshop. So in my opinion, this isn't anything really to freak out about, but if you're somewhat of a lens purist, then the Zeiss will probably be more up your street because this isn't something you're going to ever have to worry about. In any case, when shooting wide open at the lens's respective maximum apertures, the center sharpness of these lenses is pretty much identical. Though at the corners, the Sigma lens provides a noticeably sharper result. The Sigma also has a slightly shorter minimum focusing distance than the Zeiss, though when shooting wide open at this distance, the Zeiss provides a very slightly sharper result, but there's really not a huge amount in it. So where does all of this leave us when it comes to scoring for image quality? Well, both lenses clearly have their pros and cons. The Sigma produces the best edge-to-edge sharpness, though it also has poor protection from flaring and also produces a serious amount of distortion. On the other hand, the Zeiss doesn't have any of those issues, but it does create noticeably softer corners, and also it has evidence of purple fringing where the Sigma doesn't. So for me personally, I think the margins are just far too fine on this one to call a decisive winner, and clearly both of these lenses are pretty impressive optically, so arguably the fairest conclusion would just be to call it a tie and give them both a point apiece. So after tallying up the points, the Sigma just takes the win in this head-to-head test, but does that mean that you should always buy the Sigma over the Zeiss? Well, no, not exactly. The way I see it, if you're a self-diagnosed bokeholic, or you shoot in low light conditions regularly, or you just prefer lenses with a bunch of manual controls, then the Sigma is arguably the one for you. Alternatively, if none of that bothers you and you just want your gear to be small, lightweight and powerful, then save a couple of bucks and grab a copy of the Zeiss lens instead. In either case, if you are interested in buying either of these lenses and you want to also help the channel out in the process, then please do consider using the links in the description. Any purchases made using those links means that we get a small commission here, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does really go a long way to helping us out making these videos. Also, if you found this video useful in the slightest and you want to help us out, please do give us a thumbs up and give us a quick comment. It will please the YouTube algorithm gods and help us grow the channel. And also subscribe if you haven't already, and that'll mean you just don't miss out on any future content, and I will see you in the next one.